Hello and welcome to the Cyber Monday edition of the Hillsborough Township Board of Education, Monday, November 28th, 2022. In accordance with the State Sunshine Law of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the Hillsborough Township Board of Education was provided on November 22nd, 2022 to the Hillsborough Beacon and the Courier News. Can we take roll?
Mr. Gillette? Here. Ms. Jackson?
Here.
Mr. Kidd?
Here.
Ms. Lonning-Bader? Here. Ms. Nurse? Mr. Oliver? Mr. Rue? Ms. Trujillo? Here. And Mr. Marini?
Here we have a quorum. And we'll have a motion to move into executive session. Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231 of the laws of 1975 provide that a public body may exclude the public from the portion of the meeting of which the public body discusses certain matters for which confidentiality is required as permitted in Section 7B of the Act. Resolved by the Board of Education of the Township of Hillsborough and the County of Somerset and the State of New Jersey as follows. The matter to be discussed is a personnel matter. 2, the matter discussed in executive session shall be disclosed to the public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Can I get a motion in a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll be back around 7:30. Thank you. Hello and welcome back to the Monday, November 28th, 2022 Hillsborough Township Board of Education meeting. We are back from executive session and we will take roll.
Mr. Gillette?
Here.
Ms. Jackson?
Here.
Mr. Kidd?
Here.
Ms. Lonning-Bader?
Here.
Ms. Nurse?
Here.
Mr. Oliver?
Here.
Mr. Rue? Here. Ms. Trujillo? Here. And Mr. Marini?
Here we have a quorum. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'd like to acknowledge the correspondence is listed. We will now move on to committee reports. And we'll start with governance. Mr. Hill?
So the Governance Committee met on Monday, November 21st, and we had a few topics for review, namely the policy review that is on tonight's agenda in 13.8. These are a list of bylaws, policies, and regulations that are recommended to be abolished, and many of these are outdated or the information is incorporated into other policies, and you can see a summary on that on the attachment for tonight. In addition, we talked about policy 164.6, which is a remote meeting during a declared emergency. And so this would allow the board to hold a remote meeting in the event of the governor declaring a public emergency. And finally, some policies did not include the date of approval. So those are on the agenda tonight for reapproval with no changes so that we can be converted into the Strauss ESME system. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hill. We'll move on to operations, Mr. Gillette.
Thank you. Operations met on November 21st. We had a number of items on the agenda. First one is policy 6421, purchases budgeted. We have this policy already, but this recommendation comes from our district auditor to basically completely redo this policy. If you've looked at it, board members, the entire policy is struck out. But it's all replaced with the same elements, just with different language, to better align with our current practices in state code. Important policy to have from our auditor. We talked about demographic study. We received 2 proposals from 2 different companies to demographic study projection for enrollment. We chose, with Mr. Eckert's recommendation, a company called Statistical Forecasting. They had many options in their proposal for what we would like. The options that we've chosen based on Mr. Eckert's recommendation amount to approximately $22,000. And I believe that's on tonight's agenda also to approve that contract for that. We talked about naming of facilities. Again, we had a specific proposal about naming one of our facilities. We do have a policy on this, but we have no specific, I would say no specific regulations of how it works. So in lieu of that, we've asked the people that are that made this recommendation to submit a letter with qualifications, and they have done that. So we'll be reviewing that again at our next committee meeting. For a number of years now, we've built up a surplus in the fund tell me when, Fund 60, that's the number, Fund 60 for food services. And we sort of have a bubble in there of several $100,000. One of the proposals that has been made for many years is to try to provide some outdoor seating for the cafeteria for at least, 3-season seating, we're calling it. And our architect, Land Associates, we're requesting a proposal from them for a design proposal for a 3-season outdoor canopy seating area near the cafeteria at the high school. We use a lot of athletic trainer services, and we need an outside service to supplement when our trainer or assistant trainer are out for extended periods of time. We had been doing that just on sort of an ad hoc basis, but it's become so frequent now that Mr. Eckert recommends that we enter into a contract with the company that we have been using called Jag1, and to supplement our athletic training services. That's on tonight's agenda also. We got a referendum update that we're still working on punch list items around the district, but most notably, they're still working on the vestibules. That work will probably continue into the next calendar year, so past January 1st. Our transportation supervisor recommends that we change the transportation software. Several years ago, we saw a presentation on software called TransFinder, and the operations committee recommended to go ahead and buy that software and get trained on it. The transportation department and business office never pulled the trigger on that. They never did it. Now we have new transportation supervisor. They've come in now and again want TransFinder, so we're again saying yes to TransFinder. So we're gonna get that initiated. It's a more robust software, which would be better for routing and everything else that they do. And as far as the update on the budget is with the budget managers now. We spoke about one more thing. After the end, we do operations and governance together, sort of one meeting following the other with the same committee members. And one thing we talked about right at the end of governance committee, I don't think Ms. Trio reported on, was we did talk about briefly about the possibility of allowing homeschooled students to participate on our athletic teams. We're at the status quo right now. We requested the superintendent to find some more information about that. And he's working on that, and we're going to take that up again at the next, I guess, governance. This is probably on governance now. Next governance committee meeting. That's all I had. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gillette. All right, we will now move on to the education. Mr. Kidd?
Yeah, we had a rather short education committee meeting. One of our bigger items was policies and regulations. We had one item pertaining to high school transcripts. That's rather usual. We made a change to our attendance policy and regulation that has to do with the amount of cumulative absences in a row that qualify as truancy. That number's 10. Pretty much this change was just made to go in line with what standard practice was by the administration. And then the last policy was just in regard to how educational research projects are approved. The other things on the agenda that we discussed were curriculum. We had to delay a lot of them, but we're still moving one of the electives forward since we had no issues with that one, but the other ones are going to remain until we have time to discuss them and go over them properly, because I didn't want to push them forward with that proper discussion. Other than that, the rest of our time was dedicated for a testing score update from Dr. Feltry, and I'm sure she'll present it to the public once that info is available.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kidd. And lastly, we will move to HR, which I believe is Mr. Rue, or not? Mr. Oliver? Mr. Rue? Can you get the mic, just to make sure we hear you?
We discussed a number of pertinent matters, including the sick bank account request, the home liaison role, club proposals, revised job descriptions, and policies which are on tonight's agenda. Went through an overview of the vacancies and the participation fees for extracurricular activities.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rue. Any other updates on any other subcommittees, anything? No, okay, great. All right, so we will close, that, and we will move on to board president's report. Just something really quick. Congratulations, the election results. I'm not sure if they've been officially finalized yet, but we have our open 2-year seat has been selected for Ms. Stats, and for next year's board, Joel Davis, Danny Lee, and Jean Trujillo. We'll be doing a welcome session for the new board members sometime before the end of the calendar year, just to get them acclimated before the reorg meeting in January. We have 2 meetings left for this year in December. All right, and that's really it on the board president's report.
Well, good evening. I'd like to share an update I received from Ms. Sheila Cooper, Supervisor of Literacy, on the virtual reading competition Read Marathon. Hillsborough had 8 teams of 1st through 3rd graders signed up for a total of 167 students. The students read 116,604 minutes. That's over 1,900 hours. The teams came from Sunnymead, Triangle, Hillsborough, and Woods Road Elementary Schools. Kudos to Sunnymead Elementary School 3rd grader, Rashta Bashreddy, who was crowned the New Jersey State Champion. So Rashta read 4,849 minutes in a month. That's unbelievable. Congratulations to our readers. You may also see a new look later on this week. The move will allow easier access to policies and regulations on our website. We'll be uploading a link that will take you to a search page, and we hope it's more user-friendly. You'll get the link in this week's Hillsborough happenings.
Got it?
That's it.
All right, thank you very much. Next, we'll move on to approval of minutes. We have 9.1, motion to approve executive session minutes, 11/14/22, and 9.2, motion to approve regular public minutes, 11/14/22. Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion on the minutes?
I'm pretty sure I have to abstain from this one.
All right. So we'll mark you as abstained. Otherwise, any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we move to public input on the action agenda, the 2023-2024 budget, and the update safe return to in-person instruction and continuity of service items. We very much welcome input from the public. During the board meetings, there will be 2 30-minute periods of time that the meeting will be open for public comment, where members of the public are invited to comment, which they may do if they are attending in person. During the first public comment period, members of the public may comment about items that are listed on tonight's agenda before the board votes. During the second public comment period, members of the public may comment on any school district issue that a member of the public feels may be of concern to the residents of the school district as per bylaw 0167. Before you state your comment, you'll be asked to provide your name and address and the item that you are speaking to. There's a 3-minute limit on public comment. Please understand that our public forums are not structured as question and answer sessions, but rather are offered as opportunities to share your thoughts with the board. This is where the board believes there is a misunderstanding or inaccuracy. The board president or superintendent will address the comment. There may be times when a member of the public makes a comment or asks a question about personnel or hiring decisions. Kindly note that the Open Public Meetings Act and the privacy rights of public employees encompassed therein do not permit the board to discuss personal issues in public session. Would anyone like to make a action agenda or budget or safe return to in-person comment?
Hello, Lisha Gaber-Bayless, 22 Huff Lane in Hillsborough. So thank you for mentioning the demographic study. I don't believe I heard details on what the BA had suggested, so I was kind of curious about that. But one input that I had was that, as you may know, there's possible building that's going to be coming around that the township is looking at and the planning board is deliberating on right now. And I just wanted to make sure that your numbers include that, either with or without it, because we don't know if it's going to pass or not. Also, along with that, I would also encourage you to ask the township to please have the developers adjust their impact statements. Any of them that use the word surplus, it's misleading to the public. Very few people look at it, but it's very important to understand how that works. I know that at least 3 people, including myself, understand this in this room, but it's very important. And if you don't understand it, talk to the BA. He understands it. I don't believe he's here tonight. Also, with the budget, I've been coming here for years, and I don't believe that you normally explain ahead of time, or at least not this early in the season, on what you anticipate the budget to look like. I don't know if anyone has projections going out on what you think that the budget will look like going forward for several years. Dr. Schiff had this dealing with the S2. I was just wondering if you guys are aware if, or have any idea if the state aid will still go down as expected, and if we're supposed to be getting any more revenue from outside sources or anything, and if we have more costs coming up. That would be great for the public to know, so that we could also help give you input on what you could possibly pare back. In addition to that, I don't know if you would ever want to share your thoughts on what's important to the district. So, is it certain students? Is it certain activities? Is it keeping class sizes down or not having them rise more than they are already? Is it keeping certain programs such as like the REACH program? And also another thing just for the budget, I know the Alliance has been talking about possibly getting a SAC for ARIS. That's another thing to consider. Also, if you could get possibly one new teacher per elementary school, they could be used for push-in, push-out opportunities for all levels, for high and for low students as needed. You could even bring back the REACH program with having probably one teacher per school again. And also I'm hoping that you don't further reduce like the math tiers. I've heard that in high school, it's gone from, maybe it was 3 tiers, now down to 2 or something of that nature. But just, that's harder, it's more work for the teacher. It's sort of dumbing things down and on. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. And once we have our new superintendent on board, we'll be looking at the long-term planning for the district, so that'll be updated once the new super who I see out there joins.
I just want to make a quick clarification first as the Education Committee president. In regards to REACH, regardless of like what our opinion is on REACH, like we are required to have a program for gifted students. So REACH is never going to be cut. It would only ever be changed anyway, but that's still not really currently planned.
Thank you, Mr. Kidd. All right, seeing no other individuals, we will close the first public comment session. And now we will move to the action agenda.
Yes, I'd like to present for consideration 11, education. 11.1, motion to approve professional travel related expenses. 11.2, motion to affirm the superintendent's harassment, intimidation, and bullying determination. 11.3, motion to approve revised curriculum. 11.4, motion to approve acceptance of the securing of our Children's Future Bond Act security grant in the amount of $412. 11.5, motion to approve policies and regulations for first reading.
Can I get a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion by the board? I see none, we'll move to roll.
Mr. Gillette,
Yes.
Ms. Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Kidd,
Yes.
Ms. Lonning Bader,
Yes.
Ms. Nurse, Mr. Oliver,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Ms. Trujillo,
Yes.
and Mr. Marini.
Yes, motion passes.
I'd like to present for consideration 12, human resources. 12.1, motion to approve resolution for sick bank leave. 12.2, motion to approve resignations. 12.3, motion to rescind contracts. 12.4, motion to approve contract change. 12.5, motion to approve transfer and change in assignment. 12.6, motion to approve revised homeless liaison. 12.7, motion to approve revised leaves of absences. 12.8, motion to approve leave of absences. 12.9, motion to approve appointments. 12.10, motion to approve mentors and buddy. 12.11, motion to approve stipend payments. 12.12, motion to approve 6th and 7th period coverage. 12.13, motion to approve extra coverage. 12.14, motion to approve policies for first reading.
Can I get a motion and a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the action agenda? All right, seeing none, we'll move to roll.
Mr. Gillette,
Yes.
Ms. Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Kidd,
Yes.
Ms. Lonning Bader,
Yes.
Ms. Nurse,
Yes.
Mr. Oliver,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Ms. Trujillo,
Yes.
and Mr. Marini.
Yes, motion passes.
I'd like to present for consideration 13 operations. 13.1, motion to approve monthly bills. 13.2, motion to approve transportation contract for the 2022-2023 school year. 13.3, motion to approve professional services agreement with JAG 1 Physical Therapy. 13.4, motion to approve proposal from Land Associates for the development of an outdoor canopy. 13.5, motion to approve proposal for Statistical Forecasting LLC to perform a demographic study. 13.6, motion to approve out-of-district placements. 13.7, motion to approve bylaws and policies for first reading. 13.8, motion to abolish bylaws, policies, and regulations for first reading.
Can I get a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion by the board? Seeing none, we'll move to roll.
Mr. Gillette,
Yes.
Ms. Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Kidd,
Yes.
Ms. Lonning Bader,
Yes.
Ms. Nurse, Mr. Oliver,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Ms. Trujillo,
Yes.
and Mr. Marini.
Yes, motion passes. All right, we'll move to the second public comment period. We very much welcome input from the public. During the board meeting, there'll be 2 30-minute periods of time that the meeting will be open for public comment, where members of the public are invited to comment, which they may do if they're attending in person. During the second public comment period, members of the public may comment on any school or school district issue that the member of the public feels may be of concern to the residents of the school district as per bylaw 0167. If you state your comment, you'll be asked to provide your name and address. There's a 3-minute limit on public comment. Please understand that our public forums are not structured as question and answer sessions, but rather offered as opportunities to share your thoughts with the board. In instances where the board believes there's a misunderstanding or inaccuracy, the board president or superintendent will address the comment. There may be times when a member of the public makes a comment or asks a question about personnel or hiring decisions. Kindly note that the Open Public Meetings Act and the privacy rights of public employees encompassed therein do not permit the board to discuss personal issues in public session.
My name is Tiffany Neal, and I'm at 6 Cedar Hill Terrace. Tonight, I'm going to talk about something different than usual. I would like to celebrate the recent achievements of Hillsborough students in robotics and STEM. On November 19th, the Hillsborough High School Robo Raiders robotics team hosted Burrow Blast. This is a local tournament for teams in First Lego League, also known as FLL, a STEM program that encourages hands-on learning. Out of 24 teams competing, at least 7 were from Hillsborough. This demonstrates the passion and commitment of our students and their mentors. Hillsborough Middle School fielded 6 new FLL teams this year, several of which won awards at the Burrow Blast tournament. Team 1, the Tall Turtles, were recognized for bringing in the most canned goods donations to support our community. Team 2, System Overload, earned the Rising Star Award. Team 6, Operation Generation, won second place for demonstrating the FLL core values of discovery, innovation, impact, inclusion, teamwork, and fun. Team 4, AI Abnormal Intellects, won first place in core values. Team 6, Operation Generation, had a strong overall performance and was selected to advance to the regional championship tournament in mid-December. Separately from the HMS teams, I have the privilege of co-coaching an FLL team through Somerset County 4-H that is made up of students from ARIS and HMS. Our team, the Programming Trolls, won first place for the Innovation Project, a STEM research project to solve a problem in the field of energy. The team also recently found out that they were selected as an alternate for the regional championship and have been invited to attend that tournament. I'd like to give a huge thank you to the Robo Raiders and local FLL students and their mentors for their support of STEM in Hillsborough, especially Todd McDonald, Jennifer Tuller, and Deb Boyer. And I wanted to give a special shout out to my co-coach, Don Lineski, and our awesome students who shared their energy, skills, enthusiasm, and dedication to robotics and STEM in Hillsborough. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Linda Malone, 2348 Millstone River Road. I'm here to speak regarding allowing homeschool students to participate in athletics. Our son Samuel stood before the board 2 weeks ago and asked for the board to consider change. Samuel respected the policy guidelines. He stood in this spot as a lifelong Hillsborough resident from an equal tax-paying family and made a comment and request for consideration. He told you that from age 8 he played for Hillsborough rec and travel teams, and that this fall was his last season for the team before high school. What he didn't tell you is that for as long as he can remember, he's had a love for baseball. How he loves the competition of travel ball, however, still loves the fun of rec ball, never missing an opportunity to play either. How he takes every chance to share his love and his talent of baseball with anyone that's interested. And he's worked with his parents since he was 8 years old, together with Zone Baseball Academy, and started a homeschool baseball clinic to share his passion with children. And how he continued this past 3 years as a lead for a group of up to 30 children ages 5 to 14, many of whom have never even held a baseball, once a week to teach them the game and to have fun with them learning and playing. He shared with you that he's a homeschool freshman. What he didn't share is that he's an amazing student, what amazing student he is, how he excels in all of his subjects and always goes over and beyond the expectation because he has a natural love of learning and he strives to have as much knowledge as possible. He stated he'd like to be permitted to try out for the high school team this spring, have the opportunity to play with the children he's played with since he's 8. What he didn't say is that without the opportunity, he will be severely limited in playing baseball for the rest of his adolescence. He stated he knows most high schools that Hillsborough competes with allows their district homeschool students to participate. What he didn't state is that these schools chose to have homeschool district students eligible, not because they were requested to, but because it's inclusive of diversity and has a consideration for all district students. He also didn't tell you that there's a very minimum number of homeschool students that are participating in these schools. For example, Hunterdon has 2 students. Manville had 1 for freshman soccer this fall. Warren Hills had 2 in the fall and now has 0. Franklin High School has homeschool students eligible since 2015, and they have had a, quote, mere handful, if that, participate since that. He asked for and thank you for your consideration. We are glad to hear today from Mr. Gillette that it has been at least brought up in committee, and I hope that the further investigation and attorney review that Mr. Gillette had requested initially is going to occur. Samuel has a voice, and he used it, and we are incredibly proud of him. His voice was heard by our community, and the response has been very positive and supporting. Your responsibility is to represent our community, the community that elected you into the positions here. Your due diligence is warranted, and Samuel deserves a response to his request for consideration. I'm here on behalf of Samuel, and I ask that you give him the same opportunity and consideration that you give every other student of our community, and be true to inclusiveness of diversity. I ask that you respond to Samuel's request by taking the time to further the examination, complete a thorough due diligence, and institute the change. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Ditto. Sorry, my name's John Malone, 2348 Millstone River Road. Samuel and I have been sick since Thanksgiving, but we thought it was important that we both made an appearance tonight. Hopefully, we can make comments at the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Felicia Gaber-Bayless again. I just wanted to add a clarification to the clarification. Just with REACH, yes, it is a mandated program from the state. However, this district has chosen to cut it back and back. And I just hope that doesn't go back even further, as people would say, hey, you're in REACH. Here's a ditto. Here's your REACH assignment. So just kindly keep all of your students in mind as you prepare for the next year, even though it might be a small percentage. You can also, I think I might have mentioned this before, possibly could talk to legislators to see if they could become sort of a protected class, although then you might have more people, identifying students in that program, but it'd be one way to possibly look into getting more state aid. Also, I will let Jean talk about the red ribbon poster later.
Thank you for your comment. Any other comments from the public? Seeing none, we'll move to board comment, if there's any.
Just as Ms. Gaber Bayless reminded me, Red Ribbon Poster Contest is due on Wednesday, November 30th. There are prizes for 5 different categories. Highly encourage folks to participate. The theme this year, again, is Celebrate Life, Live Drug-Free. So there are flyers on the table, and it was also in the Hillsborough happenings. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Trujillo. Mr. Gillette.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you, Paul, may be aware, and other board members may be aware, New Jersey is one of only 3 states now that have yet to release the results of the student learning assessments that our students participated in the spring. Results have been available for many months, and they're not yet released. These test results were designed, the test was designed to show if there was any significant learning loss with our students. We already know from an alternate assessment, the National Assessment of Educational Progress, that there was significant learning loss in New Jersey, but we don't have that doesn't give the detail or anything that we need for this. So I was hoping that maybe in one of the last couple of meetings that we have left, if the State Department of Education has not yet released those test results to us, that we pass a resolution asking them to release those test results. Maybe even, I don't know, the HEA could join us in that resolution to get the governor to release those test results, because I think we need to have those test results. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gillette. Any other individuals? Ms. Fofana.
I just have 2 brief updates in regards to some events that are happening at the high school. Hillsborough High School Student Diversity Initiative raised roughly $900 for a Thanksgiving food drive for families in need in efforts to raise awareness about economic inequity. And Hillsborough Dance Team showcases this Sunday at 4 p.m. at HHS, and tickets are $10, and they hope to see you there. That's it.
Thank you very much. All right, seeing no other comments, I will move to adjourn the meeting. Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everybody.